Hey, Ians. You know, a lot of times Christians will put out an argument that basically Jesus must have existed because of all the historical references and blah blah blah, and all the other things that are in the Bible, and since all that other stuff has been true and you can back it up, all this archaeological finds, so therefore the whole Bible must be true, and Jesus really lived and he actually performed miracles and he saved us from the evil rib woman. A common response is the Spider-Man argument. A lot of Christians have a hard time with that one because, well, we know Spider-Man was created by Stan Lee. So then I've moved from that and I've thrown out other examples. I've made a video once before about John Henry. Was John Henry a real guy? We don't really know, but there's a story about the guy. A few other good analogies have been used, but I'm going to introduce another one today, because I had a lot of people kind of throwing some of this stuff at me, and so I'm going to use this one just because I think it fits so perfectly well. Did the Trojan War actually happen? You know, the Trojan War, with the big horse and all that. Did it actually happen? There is a city, and we know that it, there's signs that it would have burned down, and it's in the same location as where Troy would have been. So did the story actually happen? This has been actually a long debate for a long, long time, but once upon a time, it was accepted as fact. Let's just go with that for a moment. Let's just say that we are accepting this as a fact. So how much of the story do you take as a fact? Of course, this story is best told in the Iliad, written by Homer, and we could believe that these two sides fought. We might even believe that they fought over a woman. That a woman was kidnapped and she was the ruler, and so everybody was a little ticked off that someone would kidnap their queen and they would go to war. We could see this. We might even say that maybe they actually did build that freaking wooden horse. You might even think that happened. Here's where you start losing people though, because it starts becoming a little too unbelievable. Maybe the story was just enhanced for the telling of the story. But let's turn our attention to just a little something different. Now, again, this story was pretty much accepted through the 5th century by the educated Greeks. They pretty much said that the events happened, but the story was embellished a little bit. Slowly but surely, people started going away. Well, why did they go away from it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Helen, this woman who was supposed to be captured, supposedly was the offspring of Zeus. That's right. Swan comes down, has sex, produces this woman who is of great beauty. She goes on to become a goddess herself. In fact, there's a lot of mythological stories that get added in there. So let me ask you, if you started off when I said, did the Trojan War actually happen, do you think that Helen was the offspring of Zeus coming down as a swan? Of course not. Did you even know that part of the story? What about Achilles? Now, surely you could easily accept the idea that there was a general of the Trojan War named Achilles, and he was probably a great leader and probably even a fantastic fighter and a warrior that was just eclipsed everyone else on the field. But do you really think his mother grabbed him by the heel and dipped him in the lake so that he would be invincible, and only a shot through the heel would harm him and then eventually kill him? Of course not. So, to all you people who are spouting off all this different stuff about how Jesus has to be true because of this, that, and the other, and the story has got to be true because if this historian mentioned him, then the whole thing must be true. Well, then I ask you, do you believe in swans producing goddesses? Of course not. So I have a hard time when you tell me this story about this guy who went around professing some pretty bold changes in the Jewish tradition, and he had some good things to say, but then you tell me he walked on water. Sounds was like, somebody's embellishing the story. And then you tell me that he raised people from the dead. And I go, yeah, not so sure about that. And you tell me that he got crucified. Okay, well, maybe he did. And then he came back from the dead himself. Yeah, I don't think so. And, so even if your Jesus did live, he would be no different, as far as I'm concerned, to Achilles. He could have existed, but the story was still embellished. So while you're pushing this idea that your Jesus is real, understand that he's no more real to me than the swan woman or the dipped in the lake guy. Just how it works for me. But hey, don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.